People, people, good morning, good evening, good afternoon. Anyway, there. Yes, I'm the Livingston again. Just want to discuss a few points. So pull up your chair and you know how a thing go. Make a reason. See? There's a development in the media, in the Jamaican space in a recent times where Melissa, the Hurricane Melissa just passed and we're in a full redevelopment mode. Jamaica is in, that space where we're reconstructing lives and houses and see? And so the government has kind of been all over the island. The populace has been all over the island in terms of those who can assist with the situation faced by our brothers, yes, out west and thing. Now, as it turns out, there's a Maroon village in St. Elizabeth that has been devastated. This Maroon village is none other than Accompong. Accompong has kind of been in the news. In the recent years, a new Maroon chief has been chosen, Richard Currie. And since Richard Currie, I think he has probably been the youngest Maroon chief, if not ever, in a long time. And Richard Currie kind of bring a new life into the discussion on Maroons and kind of bring some new perspectives as well. Yes? In our recent times, we hear about the indigeneity argument, being bandied about. The Maroons are claiming that they're indigenous to the land that they occupy. This argument kind of spread all over the place where a whole heap of little man, all of a sudden everybody indigenous is a word now where everybody kind of adapt and running with. Yes? To the point where where this indigenousness is kind of even for sale if you check certain quarters. Yes? And this kind of, I think, has kind of gone to a lot of heads. Yes? Why did I say that? Now, as far as I know, Accompong is still a part of the mainland Jamaica. While they have a certain amount of autonomy in terms of governing themselves within their own village, it still, as far as I know, have to come under the structure of laws in Jamaica. To the point where Maroons don't just vote in their own internal elections, but Maroons vote in Jamaica's national elections. Yes? Now, if that is so, then when the Prime Minister, who visited the area recently, to make an assessment, just as he would make an assessment in all communities that he would have gone to, yeah? And saw the destruction and said, well, all right, we're going to offer some relief and we're going to offer some rebuilding of houses and things, but we're going to use the army, the Jamaica's army, to assist with the job of work. And they will be providing materials as well. Yes? The chief came out after considering the offer, because he never really just respond on spot. But him come out to say, look, we're not accepting the offer of the Jamaican government to, as he said, militarize the space, to send soldiers into the space. That kind of set a whip a tongue wagging. It set me thinking. And I want, those in the comments who know better can chime in. But I don't know that the Maroon chief have that power to tell the government of Jamaica that it cannot operate in a physical space within the Jamaican space. Yes? He may be onto something. Truth is that Richard Currie may be so far the most educated of Maroon chiefs that we have seen in our time. And so I wouldn't take Richard Currie's words as airy-fairy. You know, I think this Virginia would have probably studied a little of the laws and know how to maneuver. But there are some things that we need to now look into. One of them being that while the Maroons and Currie is the first to tell you that they had a pact, they had a treaty with the quote-unquote British. Yes? So their treaty supersedes the Jamaican government. But as far as I know, Jamaica is still a Commonwealth country until the time that we choose to depart from that. And if Jamaica is Commonwealth, it means that we are still also under the British, even while we have this quote-unquote independence. Yes? Now, so that we have a Governor General. The Governor General here represents the King. And a lot of all, in fact, I think the laws are made in Parliament, but has to be signed off by the Governor General. Yes? And so, isn't the Maroon and the Jamaican government serving the same master? I really don't see how the Maroon has said, boy, we run our thing and we don't want UNO in our thing. And we only answer to the King. The Jamaican government, as far as I know, also answers to the King. And as far as I know, if Maroons vote in our local national situation, then I don't know that you can now claim that you have autonomy over your little space, over and above the government. So I really would want to know on what grounds Chief Currie stand, that he can now make this declaration and make it binding on the government. Yes? And also in a theme local space, as we see now, you have people who need the help that obviously he cannot provide fast enough, even with his, as he says, international partners and donors, who are suffer and need to have their situation remedied fast and with the government to offer. Because truthfully, people don't know, a whole heap of people don't know this. A whole heap of skill sets reside in the JDF, you know. Man, you just go up army, go sit down as soldier, you know. You have a whole heap of construction specialists in there, trained by the very same JDF programs, where we have to pay for. And as far as I know, Maroons pay taxes in a Jamaica where them work and earn. Yes? Where them purchase goods and services and have to pay GCT. So these same skills that the soldiers possess and can offer by the stroke of a pen from the government, are we a pay for it? Me sit down here, so, and Chief Currie went there. Actually, I pay these soldiers already. So what's the point of claiming to refuse this help? So you have right now people in Accompong demonstrate. I said, look, we want the help and Currie can't provide it. So we want to know how now that's going to play out. And on what grounds Currie can keep the government out. You know, a whole heap of things I talk about this Maroon thing and the treaty that them hold so dear to. This treaty is not a treaty where people should be really proud of, you know. Yeah? The Maroons should be proud that them could have bring England to the table to actually have to negotiate. And I understand that the Eastern Maroons, the Windward Maroons as we call them, from Portland, under Nanny wasn't into this treaty, you know, that Cudjoe over the other side of the island went and did, you know. Maroon, Nanny's idea was that, look, we have them on the run. I could just chase them out and control the island. Yeah? But Cudjoe was kind of weary, as me understand, of the constant war. And him say, I could talk to the man them. No, it is a really credible position that you have to where you can demand that the British come to the table. But the man them come to the table with a sleight of hand that I don't know, maybe if it was Currie, if Currie did about at the time, with his level of education, it wouldn't happen. But you see this thing about agreeing to return any runaway slave and agreeing to put down rebellions is a kind of acquiescence by the Maroons to the British Empire, you know. And what is more, to ensure that these orders are carried out and that the treaty is stuck to by the Maroons, the man them actually place what them call an overseer in the Maroon village, you know. So there's a white man that is overseeing the day-to-day runnings of the Maroon village. So the Maroons had to actually carry out the dictates of the treaty. But there was no Maroon on the other side watching the British and say, "Oh no, have to carry out this, you know." Yeah? And so again, while we say it is commendable that you could have beat the British into that kind of a submission, when you look on the treaty that was signed by these Maroons, it really never so wholesome. Even the amount of land, it's a little plot of land, them giving for how much people. Yeah? Little bit of land. How much acre? Few acre land. So it's really nothing to really be crowing about and you know, claiming all this power. But, as me understand again, there are some international laws governing the rights of indigenous people. And that is really what the Maroon are cling to. Even more than this quote-unquote treaty. Because this treaty basically is a girl that the Englishman sell to the Maroon community. And I guess with a lack of education, they weren't able to see it at the time. Yeah? But with the laws under the UN governing the indigenous communities all over the world, the Maroon kind of find a new power on which to lean. So, all of a sudden everybody indigenous. See? Because there is again, we say, these laws. But for those who are actually Maroon, I'm not talking about the Johnny come lately Maroons who now attach themselves. There is an actual way, and I have been kind of trumpeting this amongst my brethren them. And in our recent times, in fact it was the day before yesterday, our brethren bring, you know, some literature where support the views that I have been kind of trumpeting. You see, when Africans came, whether them come with the Spanish or later on with the British, and those who never decide and put up with the slavery thing, you know, those, as we say in Jamaica, bad slave. See, I saw what thing good. Somebody we say, oh, we are bad slave, no boy now control it. And we run and go up in the hills. I said to my brethren, them say, look, when I hear the Maroon community, I say, them indigenous, there could only be one way. Because you're indigenous to a land if you are the original people of the land. So I said to the man, them say, look, the only way, because you have to examine a man's position, you know. And like me say, a man like Currie an idiot. The only way for Africans to be claiming to be indigenous in Jamaica is having runway to the hills. See? You're going to find Tainos or remnants of the Taino community in the hills as well. Because as much as between the Spanish and the early incursion of the English would have wiped out the indigenous community, these Tainos, everybody now go sit down upon the plains and make them wipe them out. Some people are going to take to the hills. And so I figure that when black man go up into the hills, them go and find communities of Taino where them are going to interact with. Now, if Taino villages have women, it's simply no. If woman in a Taino village and black man run, African man runway, and buck up them people in the hill, there's going to be some intermingling. And as a virgin point out, conversely, African women running into these hills, going to intermingle with some Taino man. See? So it is through this interbreeding over generations that you will have, and naturally so, common sense would I tell you, that you will have people that can claim to be indigenous even while being sharing DNA with both Taino and African. So yeah, on that grounds, the Maroon community can claim to be indigenous. And so now we have Maroon from all both. Everybody claim them are Maroon. I have some artists when we know all these. Some artists when we know all these here come from town and all of a sudden them are Maroon. And really, you know, you just realize them know a little about this indigenous people's rights. And them a claim it. Nothing is wrong with them claiming it. But we know, you know, it's not nobody not drawing a wool over our eye. We see it. Yeah? But with all this indigenousness, while you're in a Jamaica, I still think, and it's something for discussion, that Currie's position may be an overstep of his actual powers. I don't know. But it's something to really think about. And the Maroon community, his own very own community, is not happy. Is this something that Currie need to rethink? Is just about the discontent of his own people and whether this is a wise position to take when your people actually need the help from the government. A government that they actually vote for or against in the national plebiscite. You have to think about it. Yeah? Chief Currie, have a look back upon this. And if you're right, you're right. You know? And but then you say you'll take the materials. Why would the government give you the material if you refuse the help? And if you're indigenous, and if you have a, what you call it, you have a sovereign state in there, then a suffering Jamaica, where you have no sway over you. Why would us taxpayers, why should us taxpayers want our government to give to our people over which we don't have no sway? Yeah? Think about it. Bless up on yourself, like, share, and subscribe. See? Andy Livingston again, out.